since our childhood we must understand how important failure is. If you do not fail, there is a Peter Pan syndrome जो होता है ना, we all are prone to that thing.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't happen that way. We should always understand that failure is important, imperfection is important. You cannot be perfect. You can never be perfect. That should be there at the back of your mind. There is no match for that kind of feeling, because you feel, yeah, I feel confident because I've pushed myself that much.
Right. You feel good about yourself.
You feel good about. You start feeling good about yourself. That is exactly what is required when you are feeling low, when you are feeling depressed, or you are feeling frustrated, angry, rebellious, or completely in angst. Though yes, many people say it is over dramatized because they have to take into consideration the commercial aspect of it. It cannot always be technical because you've seen technical movies like Lakshya and LOC Kargil, for that matter, very very technical movies, and generally they did not do very well on the box office. People like us who are like understand those things, definitely it has made a different impact on us. But Uri had both the aspect, the commercial aspect of it, और उसको बैलेंस करना था. Maybe that's the reason they must have picturized it in such a way, थोड़ा सा over dramatic किया. You should prioritize कि यार you should understand one thing कि relationship, no relationship, career तो बनना ही है. करियर नहीं बनेगा तो रिलेशनशिप जो है वो भी नहीं रहेगी. पेरेंट्स की ताने अलग से पड़ेंगे, समाज से ताने अलग से पड़ेंगे. वी हैव बीन थ्रू दैट एज ऑफ 24-25 एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इन आवर लाइफ्स, विच इज़ अ वेरी वेरी टफ एज टू बी इन, जहाँ से हम इस दौर में पहुँच जाते हैं जहाँ पे कुछ ही साल के बाद अपनी शादी भी होने वाली होती है. कुछ ही साल पहले तक हम लोग बच्चे थे, अभी हम लोग बड़े हो गए हैं, हमको करियर भी करना है, हमको नौकरी सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है, उसके बाद में हमारी शादी भी होनी है, और हम 2-3 साल के बाद 3-4 साल के बाद हमको बच्चे भी होने हैं. तो वो एक ऐसा एज होता है ना जहाँ पे एवरीथिंग इज वेरी वेरी टफ, बट द वन हु सेल्स थ्रू.
नमस्ते जय हिंद, मेरा नाम है जय और ये है द अवारा मुसाफिर शो, एक ऐसा पॉडकास्ट जहां हम बात करते हैं भारत के पास्ट, प्रेजेंट और फ्यूचर की. आई बिलीव हमारे पास्ट, प्रेजेंट और फ्यूचर में भी एक चीज बहुत कॉमन रहेगी, वो है हमारे सोल्जर्स का सैक्रिफाइस. पिछले एपिसोड में जयश्री लक्ष्मीकांत जी के साथ बात करने के बाद मुझे एक चीज समझ आई. भारतीय लोग अपने सोल्जर्स को उतनी रिस्पेक्ट नहीं देते जितनी वो डिजर्व करते हैं. बस इसीलिए मैंने डिसाइड किया है पर्सनली कि इस पॉडकास्ट पे मैं जितने हो सकेंगे उतने ज्यादा आर्मी वेटरन्स को लाऊंगा एंड आई विल स्पीक विद देम अबाउट देयर लाइफ, अबाउट देयर एक्सपीरियंसेस, अबाउट देयर एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ बीइंग एट द बॉर्डर्स. और आज के इस पॉडकास्ट पे आई एम स्पीकिंग विद मेजर आदित्य देशमुख. ही रिटर्न्स बैक ऑन द पॉडकास्ट. इन द प्रीवियस एपिसोड हमने बात की थी अबाउट हिज टाइम एट द सियाचिन ग्लेशियर. इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एपिसोड वी आर गोइंग टू स्पीक अबाउट द लाइफ ऑफ एन इंडियन सोल्जर इन द इंडियन आर्मी. हम बात करते हैं मेजर आदित्य देशमुख के ग्रैंडफादर के बारे में भी, जिन्होंने वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 में पार्ट लिया था. हम ये भी बात करते हैं कि आर्मी लीव करने के बाद एक सोल्जर क्या करता है, उसकी लाइफ किस तरह से चेंज होती है आफ्टर कमिंग बैक टू द सिविलियन लाइफ. सो आई वोंट टेक मच ऑफ योर टाइम. प्लीज हिट द लाइक बटन एंड इस एपिसोड को ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक शेयर करिए. एंड इस एपिसोड के कॉमेंट्स में जय हिंद जरूर लिखना. सो वेलकम बैक ऑन द शो. ऑल्दो हमने एक एपिसोड अभी रिकॉर्ड किया एंड वापस हम रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं. दिस एपिसोड विल बी मोर अबाउट योर पर्सनल लाइफ. एक तरह से वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अ लॉट अबाउट हाउ यू ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम योर आर्मी बैकग्राउंड टू द सिविलियन लाइफ, और भी बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स हैं जिनके ऊपर हम बात करेंगे. बट इन पर्टिकुलर आई वॉन्ट टू टॉक अबाउट योर ग्रैंडफादर, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 एंड बीइंग देयर इन वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि क्या हुआ था, स्पेशली माई एज ग्रुप, क्योंकि हम तो डिस्कनेक्टेड है उस पूरी चीज़ से. तो आई वॉन्ट टू टॉक अबाउट दैट कि आपके बचपन में क्या कॉन्वर्जेशंस रहे उनके साथ में, किस तरह से आपका रिलेशनशिप था विथ हिम, एंड क्या चीज़ें बताई उन्होंने आपको.
Well, he had been one of the major factors because of which I got inspired to join armed forces. और बचपन से ही उन्होंने बहुत ही ज़्यादा, ही वॉज वेरी वेरी डिसिप्लिन्ड. तो मैं जब 4th या 5th स्टैंडर्ड में था तब से ही यूज़ टू वेक मी अप अर्ली इन द मॉर्निंग, यूज़ टू मेक मी रन इन द मॉर्निंग. तो वो एक सर्टन डिसिप्लिन बचपन से थोड़ी बहुत इनकलकेट होना शुरू हो गया था तब से ही. बट एज फार एज ही इज़ कंसर्न हिम, एंड वो मुझे मीन्स जैसे वो मेरी और सिस्टर्स को और हमें बताते थे कहानियाँ उनके वक्त की, कि हाउ वो जब 15-16 साल के थे तब उनको भर्ती कराया, और उसके 3-4 साल में ही द वर्ल्ड वॉर स्टार्टेड एंड ही वाज टेकन, उनका पहला उनको लेके गए थे समवेयर इन द मिडल ईस्ट जहाँ पे चल रही थी अफ्रीकन वॉर वाज गोइंग ऑन। फिर वहाँ से अगेन ही वाज ब्रॉट बैक, और कैसे उनको फिर बर्मा में लॉन्च, अर्स्टवाइल बर्मा नाउ म्यांमार, तो कब कैसे उनको वहाँ पे बर्मीज़ वॉर में देवर इन्वॉल्व, और काफ़ी सालों तो कैसे वो लड़ रहे थे वहाँ पे। एंड ही वाज बेसिकली ही बीइंग फ्रॉम द ब्रिटिश रॉयल ब्रिटिश आर्मी, he was fighting against INA, Indian National Army, and how he fought against the Japanese. तो वहाँ पे क्या कैसा माहौल रहता था एंड ऑल, ही यूज टू टेल दोज डिटेल्स। अभी बचपन में काफ़ी होता था तो इतना याद नहीं एक्चुअली एग्जैक्टली, बट फिर बाद में रियलाइज़ हुआ जैसे जैसे हम मैच्योर होते गए, फिर बातें जो जो बताते थे वो याद आती थी। फिर दैन यूज टू से यार दिस इज़ समथिंग विच इज़ वेरी वेरी यूनिक इन नेचर, एंड ही ऑलवेज यूज टू हैव एवरीथिंग अलॉन्ग विथ हिम। उनको लगता था कि कब कहाँ कैसे किस चीज़ की ज़रूरत पड़ जाए, बिकॉज मे बी उन वो जब थे उस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन में, तो हमेशा उनके साथ में एक टेस्टर रहता था, हमेशा स्क्रू ड्राइवर रहता था, हमेशा एक प्लास रहता था। फिर ही यूज़ टू हैव सो मेनी थिंग्स, मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास साथ में रखते थे। ही ऑलवेज यूज टॉर्च विच यूज टू कैरी ऑलवेज यूज टू बी लाइक, उसमें बैटरी थोड़ी भी कम होगी तो ही यूज टू रिप्लेस इट। पानी की टंकी फॉर एग्जांपल, तो पानी की टंकी में थोड़ा भी पानी कम हो गया तो पानी भरा हुआ चाहिए, एवरीथिंग शुड बी इन प्लेस, बिकॉज ही वॉज डूइंग क्वार्टर मास्टर ऑल्सो फॉर हिज कंपनी और मे बी फॉर हिज प्लेटून व्हेन ही वॉज सर्विंग। उनके पास एक रेडियो हुआ करता था, बिकॉज ही वॉज पार्ट ऑफ दैट सिग्नल वाला जो ये कंपनी होता है, प्लेटून होता है, ही वॉज पार्ट ऑफ दैट। तो ही ऑलवेज यूज टू लिसन टू द रेडियो। उसके अलावा उनको वी कैनॉट इवन इमेजिन वॉट काइंड ऑफ PTSDs ही मस्ट हैव गॉन थ्रू ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम, आफ्टर दैट टाइम। एंड जो भी उन पे जो इम्पैक्ट रहा है उस पर्टिकुलर वॉर का, वी हैव विटनेस्ड इट इन दी यूरोपियन कंटेक्स्ट। जब वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 और वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के हम देखते हैं सोशल मीडिया पे कितने सारे फोटोग्राफ्स देखते हैं वगैरह, एक्चुअली आई हैड अ पर्सन हु हैज़ एक्सपीरियंस दैट। तो मे बी somewhere I feel now, I realize now, me having served for 10 years in the army and having been through certain amount of incidences, in comparison with him nothing, बट जो भी वो उस वक्त वर्ल्ड वॉर में उन्होंने एक्सपीरियंस किया था, या जो भी चीज़ें वो साथ में लेके आए थे वहाँ से, जो जहन में होंगी कुछ चीज़ें उनके, वो जो बता नहीं पाए होंगे किसी को, बट वो उनके जो बॉडी लैंग्वेज बन गई थी उनकी, जो कॉन्शियसली वो जो करते थे टिल द टाइम ही वॉज देयर अमंगस्ट अस टिल 2004। वो सारी चीज़ें अभी हम अगर सोचते हैं उसके बारे में तो पता चलती है। तो इट मस्ट हैव बीन वेरी वेरी टफ ऑन हिम। He himself was used to be very very tough on him. He never ever, well, not a single day he woke up after, like, 5:30 और 5 o'clock, 5 साढ़े 5 बजे उठ ही जाते थे हर दिन सुबह। जल्दी उठना है, जल्दी तैयार होना है, बिकॉज इट वॉज इनकलकेटेड फॉर सच अ लॉन्ग टाइम। दो ही गॉट रिटायर्ड इन 1964 बैक, बट तब से लेके आज तक मीन्स 2004 तक, नॉट अ सिंगल डे वेन एवर ही यूज टू बी विथ अस, नॉट अ सिंगल डे ही यूज टू बी लाइक वेकिंग अप लेट और nothing of that sort. He lived long life, very very long life, and a very good healthy life. So God bless his soul. But I'm really thankful to him that he has bestowed us with his presence, and me especially, I've learned a lot of things from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think so. One of the reasons that you went to Indian Army was him. Like
Yes, one of the major, as I said, one of the major factors was him, inculcating those qualities into me. Those, मेरा कल्चर या मेरे संस्कार ऐसे हुए हैं उनके मेरे ऊपर, कि जिसकी वजह से मैं ऑलवेज आई वाज इंक्लाइंड टुवर्ड्स जॉइनिंग द फोर्सेस।
This is one thing which I have had conversations with other officers from the Indian Army, which is about ki should everyone in India join the army for at least some period of time. जैसे इसराइल में होता है कि वहाँ compulsorily everyone has to serve in the army for some time. So should that also come to, that practice should come to India according to you? Because Indian Army, it builds your personality in many ways. It toughens you up for life. So should that also come to India?
I believe that should come to India to an extent, but when I see the feasibility of it, I really have I really have reservations about it, because for a huge for a population like ours, and where there are so many avenues which are available for getting yourself employed, I don't think so it is a very practical idea of implementing that. However, at any level, like in the corporate or in government sector or in public sector units, one norm should be there. There has to be certain amount of training which involves physical hardship, which involves this kind of discipline, which involves the integrated training which is given to the armed forces or maybe for the parliamentary forces. It should be included, inculcated at academic level or at training level or at the on-job training wala level. Somewhere it should be there is what I feel.
Reason being?
Reason being, it actually makes you think out of the box. It gives you a feeling of working under the pressure without any kind of hesitation, and you get pressurized to such an extent that you are about to break. But that is the point when you are actually supposed to perform, where I feel a lot of people fail normally. That is the time when you are actually supposed to perform and when you are actually supposed to get the results from that particular incident. If you when you are pressurized, it's said like कहीं सालों कहीं लाख सालों तक तप के फिर वो हीरा बनता है कोयले में से. So it's like when it's under pressure, when it's under tremendous amount of pressure, then only the glitter comes out of it. So I feel it from that perspective, definitely you should be thrown into such kind of situation or that kind of training जहाँ पे आपका best आपके बाहर निकले आपके अंदर का.
So I clearly need to lose weight, and for that I've joined gym and kickboxing and everything.
Yeah.
But this is one thing which I've realized, like truly realized, which is when you are in the gym or while I'm doing the kickboxing wala practice and everything, there's this one point where I think कि इससे ज़्यादा नहीं होगा, but the trainer he pushes me and I do the required sets जितना भी वो उसके आगे बोलते हैं, and then I realized कि यार it was just my mental thing. हो तो सकता था, but I get that point कि why you are saying this, and I feel if everyone looks at life in that way, तो शायद जितने लोग डिप्रेशन में जाते हैं, मतलब आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू जस्टिफाई एनीथिंग, बट शायद वो कम हो सकता है थोड़ा, या एटलीस्ट दे माइट नो कि डील कैसे करना है.
Right.
So I get that point. The other thing,
just one point I wanted to add over there is like once you are pushed through it and once you get that sense of accomplishment, there is no match for that kind of feeling, because you feel I feel confident because I've pushed myself that much.
Right. You feel good about
yourself. You feel good about, you start feeling good about yourself. That is exactly what is required when you are feeling low, when you are feeling depressed or you're feeling frustrated, angry, rebellious or completely in angst. So at that point of time, if I'm getting that sense ki yaar, I can achieve this, I can push myself, if I can achieve this over here, maybe I'll be able to achieve it all the other aspects as well. And physical aspect is something which is immediately आपको उस चीज़ का outcome दिखता है. Like अगर मैं पढ़ाई कर रहा हूँ और पढ़ाई करके एग्जाम पास करूँगा, तो that is a process in itself.
Right.
But I'm going through a physical hardship. It is paining. It is very, very painful. I'm not able to breathe properly, but I'm pushing my muscles. So that kind of feeling when it comes, or then after that, when I have pushed myself thoroughly, when I have sweated it out, that literally drenched with sweat, and when you come out of gym or whatever you are doing, whatever physical activity you're doing, once you out of it, when you take bath and when you sit on the couch or bed, कर लिया यार मैंने. And that feeling is very, very important. That minuscule amount, that spur of the moment, हमको लगता है यार give up करना चाहिए. But there has to be somebody who is pushing you. नहीं थोड़ा कर ले. And then when you accomplish that, वो feeling होती है ना, that is the feeling which I believe, which I personally feel, and if you can read in all the books, psychology books and everything, that is the feeling which is required to push you through. Yeah. To make you that confident enough.
Right. Why do people join Indian Army? And I ask this in a very simple manner because I told you I wanted to do war correspondence, which in itself is a very scary and risky job. So मेरी family को to understand that it was tough for them, and at the same time it's tough for me and the whole world also to understand कि जो लोग Indian Army join करते हैं, what is the reason? मतलब I know कि it's the love for the country and everything, but since you have been in the organization, you have gone from a civilian to someone in the Indian Army to again back to a civilian life. So what is that one thing which makes you want to go there?
Again, I cannot generalize this thing. That everybody has got their own perspective of it. My perspective was that I wanted to join a profession which is very, very transparent in perspective, which is non-corrupt, which is in a way which would give me I was passionate about it since my childhood. It's not something which is occurred just कि यार सब बोल रहे आर्मी ज्वाइन कर लो और आर्मी ज्वाइन हो गए. No, it was not. Means लक्ष्य मूवी जैसा तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं था मेरे साथ. ठीक है. Though it's a very inspiring movie
Yeah.
and I have seen it like a number
Yeah.
of times just to feel
It's a
myself
great
motivated.
film. Yeah.
But and Hrithik Roshan has been like a big time hero for me, of course. But apart from that, it was a process in itself. I thought from all the perspectives, the kind of skills which I had, the kind of soft skill which I had, and the kind of robustness I wanted to inculcate myself into, and a lot of things which I wanted to learn, wanted to be tough, wanted to be जब बचपन में लगता है कि यार हीरो बनना है और उस टाइप में वो फीलिंग रहती है. तो ऑलवेज आई हैव थॉट फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव. जैसे बड़ा होते गया वैसे वैसे पता चलते गया इट्स अ वेरी गुड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू वर्क इन. द वर्किंग एनवायरनमेंट इज रियली वेरी गुड. द काइंड ऑफ पर्सन प्रिविलेजेस विच यू गेट टू एंजॉय are tremendous, but at the same time it is a job on the edge all the time. It's a way of life. We cannot call it a job or we cannot call it a particular profession. It's a way of life. It becomes you. Once you are a soldier, you are always a soldier. Once you become an officer, you are inculcated because those qualities are already there inside you. Because of the training and everything, it comes out and you become that. That becomes your identity and that becomes your way of life. So that is something which really made me really passionate about this job. Plus, I really loved going to places. I really loved adventure. I liked meeting new people and interacting with them. I have always been a little extrovert person. I really wanted to party hard along with my friends, and I did that. I enjoyed each and every moment whenever I was in Forge. I used to enjoy the festivals like anything. I used to enjoy the parties with my peers, with my colleagues, with my seniors, with my subordinates, everyone. So it's overall there is no room for any kind of low feeling or negativity. It's always been a very juvenile and very jolly atmosphere to work at, and it's not monotonous. Of course, sometimes you are staying in a lavish guest room, and the next day you are sleeping in a tent full of leeches. So and there is rain which is falling on you, there is snow, you're walking through the pagdandis or jungles or forests or whatever. So you get to know both the aspects of it. In the mess, you've got the best of the messes, officers mess. You get the best of the treatment. You've got the best of the food, which is laid out like 7-course meals, 10-course meals, and everything. And sometimes you just have to carry on with khasta puri and khichdi and dahi. That's it for days together. So it gives you exposure to all the various things which may happen, which may not happen in your normal life. So that was one of the aspects which inspired me, and that's the reason I joined army, and that's how it is with me.
So there's this beautiful quote which is, every man has two lives, and the second one starts when he realizes he only has one. And I feel in the Indian Army you definitely live by this quote because in the previous episode जब हम बात कर रहे about that crevice जिसमें आप गए, so you said कि पूरा flashback आ रहा था life का, and probably उसके बाद में आपने एक sentence बोला कि इसके बाद जो भी है वो bonus है. So that is exactly what that quote is speaking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you realize that a lot of things you realize, and then you ponder upon it, and then you think, हाँ यार ये है. And today when I'm out, I'm like I cannot call myself a full-fledged veteran because there are very senior people who have spent like 30 years, 36 years, 40 years of their lives in armed forces, like from JCOs to the senior most generals and the brigadiers and colonels. They are the top brass, I would say. I cannot compare myself with them. Whatever little life I have experienced in the armed forces for 10 years, 10, 11 years, whatever, I have myself acquainted myself with a lot of good skills, a lot of positive lessons out of it. And definitely it will help me for the rest of my life, which is going to be outside more than what I have been inside. I am definitely going to be, hopefully, I stay alive and I thrive. I'll be walking this planet more than that in the civilian stream, in the normal stream of this thing. But definitely those my basis of my any profession or my career or my life is based on those 10 years. That has formed the bedrock of my life for the rest of my life. So obviously I'm going to follow those principles and fundamentals throughout. Obviously it's something which I feel lucky to be.
Yeah. So you talked about लक्ष्य. तो लक्ष्य एक मेरी भी बहुत ही ज़्यादा फेवरेट फिल्म है. आई थिंक सो कोई भी ऐसा नहीं होगा जिसे लक्ष्य फिल्म पसंद नहीं होगी. बहुत कम लोग होंगे. एक दूसरी फिल्म है उरी द सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक्स. अब इसके बारे में मतलब the picturization and the cinematography and everything was brilliant. But बहुत से बार मैंने दूसरे पॉडकास्ट पे भी सुना है वेटरन्स को बात करते हुए, एंड कुछ वेटरन से मैंने बात की है तो दे से कि एक्चुअली वो ओवर ड्रामेटाइज्ड है, इतने लेवल पे नहीं होती ये चीज़ें. व्हाट इज योर पर्सपेक्टिव अबाउट दैट फिल्म?
It's a wonderful movie. I love that movie, and it's like very very inspirational movie for me as well. And when I look at it, sometimes you tend to relate certain things, certain incidences, and it's really very very intriguing, instigating. It makes you feel that yes, this has to be the standard of Indian movies. At least this
Yeah.
will be the standard. Technically, it's a very very sound movie. And technically, when I'm saying technically, it's not, it has got nothing to do with me knowing cinema or filmmaking or anything of that sort. देख के, because we happen to case studies होती है in which we tend to study a lot of English movies as well. It's not only the case studies which are taught in the lecture rooms, lecture halls. We also are advised to see a lot of movies, a lot of operations which are picturized in a film format or a documentary format or a series format like Band of Brothers or something of that sort. So we are actually, we are insisted and we are asked to watch those to understand the tactical and technical aspect of conducting operations. So from that perspective also, Uri seems to be very very sound.
Okay.
So it's a good movie overall. I really like the concept as such. Though yes, many people say it is over dramatized because they have to take into consideration the commercial aspect of it. It cannot always be technical because you've seen technical movies like Lakshya and LOC Kargil for that matter, very very technical movies, and generally they did not do very well on the box office. People like us who are like understand those things, definitely it has made a different impact on us. But Uri had the both the aspect, the commercial aspect of it, और उसको balance करना था. Maybe that's the reason they must have picturized it in such a way और थोड़ा सा over dramatic किया. But overall that movie changed the concept of how operations are conducted. It's not always traditional kind of like in the border movie, the way it is seen, the way it is dramatized over there. It's not shown in Uri that way, and it's really very pragmatic aspect. That's how operations generally are conducted. हाँ, उसमें भी थोड़ा बहुत होता है, but that's how it is. And ड्रामेटाइज किया गया है उसको because otherwise you won't get that feeling of that रोंगटे खड़े होने जाने चाहिए उस टाइप में बनाई है मूवी. बट या आई फील इट्स अ गुड मूवी इन फैक्ट.
एक का आपने नाम लिया था बैंड ऑफ ब्रदर्स, so I recently watched that and it's brilliant. Apart from these specific content pieces, कोई और फिल्म या वेब सीरीज वगैरह है जो आर्मी के ऊपर स्पेशली जो आपको पसंद है एंड यू फील कि अप टू सम एक्सटेंट इसमें एग्जैक्टली जिस तरह से होती है चीज़ें वैसे ही बताइए?
या means it's a little controversial movie, but it's a good movie, Shaurya. It's a really brilliant
KK
piece. Yeah, it's a brilliant piece of movie. Then as far as English movies are concerned, there are good movies. Apart from Band of Brothers, based on the same line, Saving Private Ryan is there. Then you have got U-19 or something. There it's a submarine movie, Widowmaker. Then there are Wind Talkers. Then there are movies like Tora, or the latest version of it was this Pearl Harbor. And there are many good movies like Bridge on the River Kwai, and there are old movies. So yeah, there are very good movies which are then, especially the English movies, the Hollywood movies and the Cherrywood movies. They are really brilliant movies.
Okay. Any books?
Books, Bridge, पैगासस नाम का एक बुक है. देन देर इज प्लाटून लीडर नाम का एक बुक है. देन ऑथर्स आई डोंट एग्जैक्टली रिमेंबर, बट दीज आर द बुक्स. देन देर आर अदर बुक्स लाइक थ्री मेक्स. इट्स एन इंडियन बुक. इट्स इज बेस्ड ऑन द ट्रेनिंग डेज ऑफ थ्री मेक्स कंपनी नाम की एक बुक है. इट्स ब्रिलियंट बुक. आई हैव गॉट इट एंड आई वाज रीडिंग इट व्हेन आई वाज लाइक इनटू सैनिक स्कूल एंड ऑल. So it's a book based on three friends, how they met, they went to RIMC के बाद वो NDA में कैसे गए, how one of them got injured and again तो वो भी Indian context में भी there are a lot of good books available. Not only per se only which are written by generals and brigadiers. There are a lot of books which are written by some people in the lower hierarchy as well, and they are brilliant books.
Okay.
because they have got not the geopolitical aspect or the larger picture aspect. They have got very minuscule horizon, but they teach a lot of things.
Hmm. Got it. One subject that I really wanted to talk about is your transition from the Indian Army to the civilian life. Obviously, we touched one aspect of this in the previous episode, but to expand on that now, uh, when you are in the Indian Army again, so वो एक mindset है, एक skill set है जो आप carry कर रहे हो, and it becomes your muscle memory as well. So when you come to the civilian life, what happens exactly? I'm sure कि first at least 1 or 2 years are bit difficult क्योंकि आपने terrain भी बहुत different देखे होंगे, and then city life तो is like pollution, sound, traffic, everything. So how is that transition like, and how do you deal with it?
See, it was a conscious effort to get out, get released from armed forces and coming back to the civilian stream. And it was not something, it was my choice, and it was not something which has just happened. It was not an impulsive decision. It was a well thought out decision. The moment I joined, I knew कि 10 साल मेरे को करनी है, उसके बाद में I'm going to get retired. I did not even ask for extension. I did not even volunteer for extending or continuing with my services. I knew 10 साल के बाद I'm going to get released. So I knew it by choice. But what happens is when you are about to come out, you have to unlearn a lot of things. You have to learn different new things. You have to unlearn. Basically, unlearning wala jo part hota hai, there is some that is where a lot of veterans like me, my peers, those who have got released with me, we struggled a lot on that aspect. But it becomes easier because the younger you are, the better you get adapted to the surroundings. The more time you spend in an organization, it becomes that difficult to get out of that
Right.
cocoon of protectiveness and everything. So for us, 10 years, and then we decided to get out of it, and then we got out. We were struggling for getting jobs. Luckily, I was lucky enough that I got good opportunities outside. Then the choice was with me whether to join this or that. So it was definitely a good transition. I have done a transition program also along
So
with
there's a
the.
program like
No, it is not. It is something which is given by the private organizations. So I happen to have attended one. It helped me, setting my expectations from like there is this concept of ikigai. So I studied my own ikigai. They helped me study my own ikigai, and I got to know what are my skill sets, which stream should I get into after getting out of the armed forces and all. Then I understood it. Okay, I should make my resume or my CV curricular vitae likewise, and then I appeared for interviews. I got selected. I'm doing job now. But those things are one aspect of it, to the professional aspect of it. But once you decide to come out and settle, and when you know that you are coming from a background which is very very organized, which has got in detail depth में हर एक चीज़ की SOP होती है, and when you come out it's not that way. You cannot expect any when you're working in a corporate or when you're working outside in any of the sectors, whether it's an educational institute or whether it's a corporate, it's a marketing or it's a bank, wherever you're working, you cannot expect things to be in place all the time. Army or the armed forces is such an organization jahan pe it has to be in order because there is a question of life and death involved in it. If your little amount of SOPs goes for a task, it's a matter of life and death for you over there. But outside it's not that way.
yeah.
Things can be little easy. You cannot be hard on to people, and one should understand that. Me being a veteran is something which was my choice. Coming out and doing job is my choice. I must understand that. People, when people are looking up to me from that perspective, definitely they will expect me to be disciplined, organized, compartmentalized, which I told in the earlier episode. They definitely expect those things from me, but at the same time they do not expect me to be a very hard task master. They would expect a little bit of consideration from my side.
Yeah.
They will expect me to be expert in the technical things as well, especially when it comes to working on laptops, working on the Google Excel sheets, working on various technical platforms, connecting myself on Zoom or Google Meet, or just the basic material aspects of being into corporate. So they expect me to be good in that, and if I'm not good at that, and if I'm expecting them to be good on the fundamentals or the the principles ideologically, it cannot work that way.
Yeah.
I have to understand. I should be considerate enough. I should be understanding it. See, there is no point in living in the past glories. I may have done n number of things when I was in armed forces, but this is something new. I have to prove myself over here as well.
Right.
And every day you have to pull in, and that's the most challenging part in the civil stream, which I'm saying. Definitely in the armed forces, definitely we have got this thing of proving ourselves every day. But here, proving yourself every day has got a different connotation altogether. You have to understand people. We join at a senior managerial level or a senior level wherein people look up to us. And if I'm not considerate enough, if I'm not compassionate enough in understanding their problems, then obviously I'm failing as somebody who has come outside from a well organized organization, and I should be putting in my efforts in order to make that stream or that institute or that corporate office or anything, that administration, in a better way. I should not be criticizing it. In fact, if I am taking the onus of it, I should be helping in building it up in a better way. And for that I have to help those people.
Makes sense.
I cannot be saying कि यार तुमको तो काम करने का तरीका ही नहीं है, तुम तो disciplined ही नहीं हो. It cannot happen that.
How do you do that? As in Indian Army, so your job over there at the borders is to defend the country, and you become bit raw, bit rugged. वो मतलब lifestyle ही वैसी है.
हाँ.
Then when you come to the civilian life, यहाँ पे आपको sympathy, to have some sort of soft side बहुत ज़रूरी है. So how do you bring those changes in yourself? मतलब वो जो feelings वाला part है, how do you bring those changes?
Actually, it's not really very. See, what we in India, especially when we look at armed forces like the military life and the civilian life, we have got a very vague ideas of being that way. It's actually not that difficult.
Okay.
See, when I am working in field, when I'm in armed forces, my job is to keep the logistics intact. My job is to make plans, operational plans, which are on paper, obviously, which are not something which is making instinctively. मैं ऐसे इंस्टेंटिवली ये चीज़ नहीं बता रहा हूँ कि चलो आज वहाँ पे हमको अटैक करना है, चलो चलते हैं. इट्स नॉट दैट वे. नेवर हैपन्स दैट वे. इट हैज नेवर हैपेंड दैट वे. आई हैव टू हैव अ प्लान इन प्लेस. आई हैव टू डिस्कस इट विथ माई हायर हायरार्की. आई नीड टू हैव अ प्रॉपर डिस्कशन in a conference room or somewhere at a feasible place jahan pe I will be able to speak up. Then we come out, when we make a plan out of it, then that plan is first rehearsed, then implemented, and then seen ki whether it works or not, and then it is full-fledged, in a full-fledged manner it is applied. Similar is the case in the civilian stream as well. When we are about to start a particular campaign, or for that matter if we are promulgating a particular idea, we have to have the paperwork ready. We have to have the additional factories, the laptops and the presentations and the the various literature related to that. Similar thing happens in the armed forces as well. There are presentations which are made. There are various analytics which are done. Similar thing happens in the corporate. The business analytics takes care of of those things. So you have to understand. You cannot always have that kind of emotional aspect कि यार तो तुमको तो ऐसे ही नहीं होता है, ऐसे नहीं होता है, वहाँ पे वैसे नहीं. नो नो नो. You must understand. You have to realize those things.
Yeah.
From your perspective, if you are working for me or if I am working for you in the civil stream, I need to understand those different. That's the reason it is easier for veterans to adopt themselves to that environment, because they have seen both of it and now they can relate it with those things. Why we are hired in first place, the very basis, because we are not experts in that subject matter. We are not SMEs of that particular corporate or anything which we are joining, that institute which we are joining. We are experts in the fundamentals. We are experts in applying a disciplinary thought process to that entire process. We are experts in streamlining those things with our organizational skills. We have got a very streamlined, compartmentalized thought process. That is where it comes into picture. If I am given a particular task, I should be able to organize that in a way that it will cut the costing for that thing. At the same time, it will help them boost it in a way which will be utilized by their other peers as well.
Right.
So it's a very, very technical aspect. It's not something which is just happening. इट्स नॉट दैट कि वहाँ पे वैसे था तो यहाँ पे भी तुमको सिंपैथी रहनी चाहिए, वहाँ पे सिंपैथी रहनी चाहिए. वैसे नहीं होता है.
इन अ वे जो आपका आर्मी में लाइक वॉट एवर द रोल यू हैड, इट वॉज अ रियल लाइफ MBA. एंड
Of course it is. Of course it is. Where I am working now is at a very different higher managerial level, wherein I have to understand the management of it. It's a management. Army is a huge. We work on, जैसे बाहर Six Sigma होता है, then there are different kinds of sets of rules wherein the corporates work or the businesses work or the institutes work. हमारे मीन्स आर्म फोर्सेस में we basically work on one single thing, that is zero error syndrome. There is no room for error. That is zero error syndrome. For that what we do, if यहाँ से वहाँ कुर्सी लेके जाके रखनी है, so there can be n number of things that might happen. We rehearse it 100 times. Make sure that on that particular day, on that particular at that particular moment, that thing will exactly happen the way we have been rehearsing it. So for that, we rehearse it for 1,000 times, 2,000 times. We do that.
Yeah.
It has to be done that way.
Yeah.
Then only you will get the perfection. So similar thing outside also, when I am working, so I will not be asking those subordinates of mine to rehearse that 1,000 times, but I will promulgate a way or system wherein it will become, there will be very 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 less room for error over there. I cannot deny there will be, and of course in the armed forces also, you will practice 1,000 contingencies and 1,000 first contingency will appear and that will just ruin everything. Those are the chances which are supposed to be taken by inside also and outside also. But at least I should have that approach towards doing it. And once I have it, you just have to change ways and means of conveying those things to those people. It cannot always be like in a very robust way or in a very disciplined way, or एकदम कड़क होके बोलना नहीं तुमको ऐसा करना पड़ेगा, ये करना पड़ेगा. No, it has to be in a very very mellow way. But it has to be done. That you have to understand, that you have to inculcate that diplomacy inside you.
Makes sense.
After coming out.
Makes sense. This one other aspect, when you get inculcated into the Indian Army, inducted into the army, you are in the age group of what, 21 to 25, at max 26, 27 wala age group.
कम ही होता है generally 23, 24. Yeah.
Okay. And that is the prime age when people are getting into relationships. People are, मतलब career भी है, relationship भी है, और families भी है सबकी. How do you manage all of that together? Because when you are getting inducted into the army, एक तरह से जो आपकी अब तक लाइफ थी, you are putting a pause on that, you are going somewhere else now. हो सकता है कि आपके जो प्रीवियस रिलेशनशिप्स थे वो अफेक्ट हो इसके वजह से, आपको आपके करियर का अभी कुछ अंदाजा नहीं है, बिकॉज इट्स अ यंग एज एंड एवरीवन गोज थ्रू दैट. सो हाउ डू यू डील विद ऑल ऑफ ये जो इतना खिचड़ी बन जाता है उस टाइम, हाउ डू यू डील विद दैट?
See, now I can say it. At that point of time, even I was confused in that particular age. I wouldn't have been in a different state of mind. It happened with me as well when I was young. Even I had when I was in college. Definitely, means people tend to be in relationship. Family में भी issues होते हैं. The majority of the issues in our culture are related to the economics of the family. यार आपको आगे जाके करियर करना है तो उस करियर के लिए जो पॉसिबल कॉलेज आपको सिलेक्ट करना है या पॉसिबल एजुकेशन आपने लेना है, तो उस चीज़ का टेंशन होता है कि उसकी फीस बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. एंड टुडे तो एटलीस्ट एजुकेशन लोन्स हैव बिकम ईजी टू गेट, बट स्टिल द लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स रिलेटेड विद इट. सो इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट एक तो मेजर एस्पेक्ट होता है इन दैट पर्टिकुलर एज ग्रुप, जब आपसे एक्सपेक्ट करने लग जाते हैं घर वाले भी कि अभी नाउ इज़ द टाइम यू शुड स्टार्ट समथिंग ऑन योर ओन, बिकॉज अभी तुमको पढ़ा के लिखा के हमने बड़ा किया है, नाउ इट इज़ योर टर्न टू फीड योर सेल्फ. दे वोंट एक्सपेक्ट टू गिव बैक, बट दे विल एटलीस्ट एक्सपेक्ट टू खुद का संभाल लेगा या लेगी. ठीक है, दैट इज़ द काइंड ऑफ थिंग विच हैपन्स. सेकेंडली, relationships are something which are bound to take place in that age group, because that age group is meant to be that way. We are high on our hormones, we are high on everything, so definitely those things are bound to, we are emotionally imbalanced. We try to find that balance with someone, we try to find that emotional support from someone, but that someone is also struggling. Right, we need to understand that someone is also struggling, so sometimes that person also needs this support of the counterpart. But sometimes what happens is there is a clash of these two things, कि support भी करना है, support expect भी करना है, support भी करना है, but at the same time बाकी चीज़ें भी देखनी है. एंड योर रिलेशनशिप, जो सो कॉल्ड रिलेशनशिप गोल्स वगैरह बोलते हैं, यू नो दोज थिंग्स, वो भी करने हैं तुमको. यू नो माई गर्लफ्रेंड, मेरे एक्सपेक्टेशन मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड से या मेरे बॉयफ्रेंड से मेरे क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन से, वो चीज़ें भी हो रही है. करियर भी एक तरफ चल रहा है. योर यू नो स्पेशली दोज हु आर एस्पिरेंट्स फॉर द गवर्नमेंट एंटिटीज लाइक CDS दे रहे हैं, CDS का एग्जाम दे रहे हैं, CSE सिविल सर्विस एग्जामिनेशन दे रहे हैं, या कहीं इंजीनियर का एग्जाम दे रहे हैं, या MBA का एग्जाम दे रहे हैं, जो भी कर रहे हैं. तो वो चीज़ भी फोकस रखना ज़रूरी होता है. और स्पेशली उस पर और एक चीज़ अभी आके पड़ी हुई है, इंस्टाग्राम और फेसबुक, सोशल मीडिया. उसमें भी रील्स तो बनाने हैं, उस पर भी पोस्ट तो डालनी है. आज मेरे दोस्त का बर्थडे था, उसकी भी स्टोरीज तो डालनी है. तो वो स्टोरीज भी मेरे को एडिट भी करनी है, उसके लिए भी टाइम कंज्यूमिंग है. अब मैं कौन से फिल्टर में करूँ, वो भी एक चीज़ है. यू नो उसमें कौन सा म्यूजिक दूँ, और कौन सा उसमें किसको किसको टैग करना है, किसको नहीं टैग करना है. दीज आर द डिटेल्ड नो टेंशंस आज की तारीख में जो है, विच एक्चुअली एग्जिस्ट. तो इन सब में मीन्स व्हाट आई वुड, आई कैन नॉट गिव एनी काइंड ऑफ सजेशन बिकॉज आई एम नॉट एक्सपर्ट इन दैट, बट व्हाट आई वुड से, व्हाट माई सजेशन वुड बी इन दैट इज कि यार यू शुड प्रायोरिटाइज योर थिंग्स. यू शुड प्रायोरिटाइज कि यार यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग कि रिलेशनशिप, नो रिलेशनशिप, करियर तो बनना ही है. करियर नहीं बनेगा तो रिलेशनशिप जो है वो भी नहीं रहेगी. पेरेंट्स की ताने अलग से पड़ेंगे, समाज से ताने अलग से पड़ेंगे. वी हैव बीन थ्रू दैट एज ऑफ 24-25 एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम इन आवर लाइफ्स, विच इज़ अ वेरी वेरी टफ एज टू बी इन. जहाँ से हम इस दौर में पहुँच जाते हैं जहाँ पे कुछ ही साल के बाद अपनी शादी भी होने वाली होती है. कुछ ही साल पहले तक हम लोग बच्चे थे, अभी हम लोग बड़े हो गए हैं. हमको करियर भी करना है, हमको नौकरी सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसके बाद में हमारी शादी भी होनी है, और हम 2-3 साल के बाद, 3-4 साल के बाद हमको बच्चे भी होने हैं. तो वो एक ऐसा एज होता है ना जहाँ पे एवरीथिंग इज वेरी वेरी टफ, बट द वन हु सेल्स थ्रू एंड मोस्ट ऑफ देम डू ट्राई टू सेल थ्रू. सम 1-2 साल आगे पीछे हो जाते हैं, बट जनरली दे टेंड टू सेल थ्रू. तो इतना चिंता करने वाली बात होती नहीं. इट्स अ नेचुरल थिंग. ओनली थिंग इज वन शुड नॉट सकम टू इट. वन शुड नॉट फील दैट यार नहीं हो पाएगा मुझसे, और वो नहीं हो पाएगा मुझसे का जो परसेंटेज पहले था वो आज की तारीख में बढ़ चुका है. इफ़ यू एनालाइज इट दैट वे, इफ़ यू सी द आर सोशो इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर, इफ़ यू अपना सोशल कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट भी अगर देखोगे आप आज की तारीख में, इफ़ यू सी रैंडम चेक भी आप कर लोगे गूगल पे, तो 2 गिव अप करने वालों का ये बढ़ा हुआ है. द रीज़न इज बेसिकली दैट कनेक्ट इज नॉट देयर विद आर एल्डरली पीपल. आर एल्डरली पीपल, हम उनकी बातें ऑब्सोलीट समझने लगे हैं. We don't consider their things to be some importance, because you have started taking them for granted so much that you feel that these are obsolete ideas, which are not. The fundamentals always remain the same. जो हमको संस्कार हमारे बचपन में मिले थे, उनके बचपन में उनको मिले थे, they'll always stand. तुमको अगर फोकस करना है किसी चीज़ पे जो बोला गया, तो उस चीज़ पे फोकस करना ज़रूरी है. आपकी नौकरी इज सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट, आपका करियर इज इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड इट हैज़ टू बी दैट वे. अगर आपका करियर नहीं है तो खाना पीना कहाँ से आएगा? और आपका पैशनेट अबाउट एक्सेप्शनली अलग कुछ करियर करना है, तो डेफिनेटली यू हैव टू बी दैट एक्सेप्शनल. तो यू हैव टू हैव दैट एक्सेप्शनल डेडिकेशन ऑल्सो फॉर इट. और वो तभी आएगा जब आप बाकी चीज़ों में से अपना अटेंशन जो है निकाल के इस चीज़ में डालोगे. रिलेशनशिप इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी देयर इफ दैट पर्सन इज अंडरस्टैंडिंग इनफ. अगर आप में दोनों में म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, वो रिलेशनशिप कहीं नहीं जा रही है. शुड हैव फेथ इन इट. तुम्हारा करियर हो जाएगा ना, तो वो जो कोई भी लड़का है लड़की है छाती ठोक के तुम्हारे पास ही आने वाला है. राइट. ये आने वाली है, ठीक है. बट अगर करियर नहीं है ना, तो दोज चांसेस आर ऑल्सो वेरी ग्रीम, बिकॉज बिना करियर के कोई सपोर्ट वैसे करना नहीं चाहिए, और करता भी नहीं है, ठीक है. इफ यू आर समवन, डेफिनेटली यू विल बी समवन. तो इट्स अ नॉर्मल स्टेटा, इट्स अ नॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर इन आवर सोसाइटी. आई एम नॉट जस्टिफाइंग इट, बट इट इज हाउ इट इज. राइट. ठीक है. एंड यू हैव टू एक्सेप्ट इट. तो पहले करियर पे ध्यान दो, उसके बाद रिलेशनशिप गोल्स तो होते रहेंगे. वो तो आज नहीं है तो कल तो होना ही है उस चीज़ को. और अपने अपने एज के हिसाब से वो चीज़ें होती रहती है. कोई भी ऐसे उस चीज़ की वजह से कोई अकेला बैठा नहीं है. मेजोरिटी ऑफ देम डू गेट मैरिड, मेजोरिटी ऑफ देम डू हैव गुड रिलेशनशिप्स एज वेल. बट जब जिस चीज़ पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना चाहिए उस चीज़ पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करो. सिंपल सी बात है. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी सिंपल सजेशन. देयर इज नो कोई उसमें रिलेशनशिप एक्सपर्ट वाली कोई कमेंट और कोई सजेशन उसमें इन्वॉल्व नहीं है. सिंपल सी बात है. जस्ट हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट.
मेरे 2 दोस्त हैं, राजन एंड दिशांती. सर ने क्या बोला सुन लो. तो बट दैट वाज ऑन अ लाइटर नोट. बट सीरियसली मतलब आई फील देयर इज टू मच एजुकेशन, टू लेस ऑफ लर्निंग दीज डेज. तो मतलब ऐसा हो गया कि आई कैन जस्ट स्पीक फॉर माई जनरेशन. आपने एक बात कही कि एल्डर्स से कनेक्ट नहीं रहा. तो वो कनेक्ट इसीलिए नहीं रहा क्योंकि अब इतने सारे पॉडकास्ट है, इतने ज़्यादा लोग हैं जो मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर्स बन
या
गए
या
तो कोर्सेस इतने सारे हैं, अब इंसान उनकी सुने, यहाँ भी घर की भी सुने, करे क्या? तो दे गेट कंफ्यूज्ड इन दैट होल थिंग एंड ऑब्वियसली बिकॉज सोशल मीडिया पे लोग ज्यादा रहते हैं तो वहां से जो आ रही है एडवाइस दे टेक अप दैट एंड एज यू सेड कि हर बार कोई एक एडवाइस दे रहा है वो आपके लिए वर्क करे ना करे वो जरूरी नहीं है, मतलब वो ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. तो how do you deal with all of this confusion then?
Dealing with that kind of confusion, I can easily say कि यार shut all the social media. It's very easy for me to say that, which cannot happen.
Yeah.
It just cannot happen.
Yeah.
It's a very slow process now, and it's we have gone to such an extent. वो दोनों टाइप से इनिशिएटिव होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. माँ बाप की तरफ से भी इनिशिएटिव होना ज़रूरी है और बच्चों की तरफ से भी इनिशिएटिव भी होना ज़रूरी है. अगर बच्चों की तरफ से इनिशिएटिव नहीं है तो पेरेंट्स शुड नॉट लूज देयर काम. Of lately, parents have also started losing their calm. They have also started getting panicky. They have also started becoming overprotective. They have also started becoming someone who feel that कि उनकी आंखों से ओझल थोड़ी देर के लिए भी उनका बच्चा हो जाएगा तो वो खत्म हो गया, वो बर्बाद हो गया, उसके लाइफ कुछ बची नहीं है. Plus, there is too much of influence of the so-called woke culture, which has started coming in India as well, which has started ruining a lot of things. For which I believe that we should go back to our roots. We should understand that no, we are not that way. If we see at the Western cultures, they do not have a culture as such.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming. I'm not demeaning by any chance their culture which is there, but they do not have the basis for it because it's very very young. Okay, if you take US into consideration, it's a young country. It's not that old civilization like ours. We have got a very very old civilization.
We have civilizational values.
Yeah, we have civilizational values. We have cultural values. We have been, we have grown over those values, and that's the reason we are still progressing. Because it's a slow process.
Right.
We have not come from A to directly K. Or gone to Z. No, we are A, B, C, D. हमारा slowly process हो रहा है, which is required for any generation or any civilization to grow.
Okay.
वो चीज़ वहाँ पे नहीं है. They got free in 1776. They are here today. They have progressed tremendously. The European or the Western cultures, they have progressed tremendously. Economically they have progressed.
Yeah.
But now they are seeing कि यार छोटे टाइम में बहुत ज़्यादा अचीव करने से क्या रिपरकशन से होते हैं उस चीज़ के. वही when we look at us, when you look Orient, जो बोलते हैं ना, look towards East. The reason is because we have imbibed those things into us over a period of time.
Right.
We have learned hit and trial करके हमने चीज़ें सीखी है. We have learned it the hardest of the hardest way. We have been very very compassionate people. We have been people who have been, वो जो बोलते हैं ना, सहिष्णुता बहुत ज़्यादा है हम लोगों में. We are tolerant. We are generally tolerant people. They are generally not tolerant people. There is a very marked difference in it. So when we try to imbibe those things into ours, it becomes the clash. I'm not denying completely कि हमारी सभी चीज़ें सही होती है, but to an extent इस एटमॉस्फेयर के लिए, इस कल्चर के लिए, इस आइडियोलॉजी के लिए, इस यहाँ पे पले बड़े इंसान के माइंडसेट के लिए ये चीज़ें ठीक है. आई एम नॉट स्पीकिंग religiously or by any way spiritually or philosophically. I'm speaking practically. जहाँ का जो वेदर होता है उस हिसाब से उस चीज़ का कल्चर बनता है. वो चीज़ का कल्चर बनना है ना, क्या होता है, द वे यू लिव, द वे यू अप्रोच थिंग्स. इट इज़ एज सिंपल एज दैट. तो वो अगर यहाँ का है और सडनली आप वहाँ का चीज़ यहाँ पे इम्बाइब करने की कोशिश करो, इट कैनॉट हैपन दैट वे. एंड वन मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दैट, एंड पेरेंट्स शुड टेल देयर children and their kids कि भाई ऐसा नहीं है. They have to have this kind of approach. Everything cannot happen कि ban कर दो हर एक चीज़ को. It cannot happen that way, and that is something which we need to understand.
True. I think so. In parents, there is this fear of failure कि मतलब if the kid doesn't work according to their values, their ethics, तो उनको लगता है कि fail हो जाएगा, and they don't allow the kid to have their own failures. And the point is कि मतलब once you have those failures, you can build your life upon that. But then that value has gone out now. And because parents don't promote it and kids are in their own zones because of social media or whatever, so वो एक जो value है of failing, that has just vanished from the society.
Yeah. Value of failure is important, and we should suffer after failing. We should.
It's important
to suffer. If you do not suffer, and everything will be like ठीक है, you have participated in it, those so-called बोलते हैं ना, you have participated in, we will give you a prize. No, it should not be that way. Since our childhood, we must understand how important failure is. If you do not fail, there is a Peter Pan syndrome जो होता है ना, we all are prone to that thing. So it shouldn't happen that way. We should always understand that failure is important, imperfection is important. You cannot be perfect. You can never be perfect. That should be there at the back of your mind. We try to be. We can always try to be. We cannot become. And over a period of time, when we practice it for a prolonged period, you will accept the fact that it is going to be this way. It is going to be imperfect. Things will never be perfect. Things cannot be perfect at any point of time.
Strive for perfection, but live with imperfections.
Yeah, exactly. You just told it in short, and that's the best way one can put forth. Really,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Right. So the other aspect which we wanted to talk about, we discussed prior to the episode की SSB वाली जो चीज़ है. Now again, I want to connect this with the same thing कि too much education, too less of learning. SSB को लेकर भी मतलब I am not the right person to speak about this because मैंने तो किया नहीं, but I have seen in general कि मतलब SSB के लिए भी there are so many courses, so many webinars and वो जो भी चीज़ें होती है, everything is coming out. What is your perspective about that?
I feel, I mean, similarly, even I am not qualified to say anything about it. I can only say from my own experience. I am not somebody who is qualified to give SSB coaching, and definitely not someone who would do that. I can only suggest. I can only give my own experiences in it. I can only tell people कि भाई मैंने ऐसा किया था. I cannot take the onus. People who are not even qualified to do that are taking classes, which I have seen, and no hard feelings for them. They can do it, and people, if they are getting success, nothing against it. I do not have anything against it. Let me clarify that first. But people, when you go for SSB coaching, one must see, to all the aspirants, to all the people who wants to be part of the armed forces, when they are appearing for the services selection board, which is SSB, they should always take suggestions from someone who has been part of that assessment. There is a specific course which is there inside armed forces when we are serving. Those qualified people in that particular course only get the opportunity to assess candidates for selecting them, and those people have got a lot of expertise, and those are the SMEs, I would say, subject matter experts in that way. I can only tell from my own perspective how I was able to clear my SSBs, but at the same time I cannot be telling, I personally feel that I do not have a moral right to tell कि यार ऐसे करोगे तो आप पास हो जाओगे, नहीं तो नहीं होंगे. No, I do not have that. But person who has been part of it, and he has, once he is retired, when he is out, definitely there are so many senior people who are taking good coaching classes as well in today's date. Wherever you go in entire India, there are very, very good coaching classes, and one must be mature enough to understand that these are the people who are supposed to be followed. And I will not say whom not to follow, but I'll definitely say whom to follow.
Yeah.
And these are the people whom you should follow. Somebody who has been part of that assessment, somebody who knows it. And these people आपकी वो नस नस से वाकिफ़ होते हैं कैंडिडेट्स की कि what will how you should work onto yourself. And it's not that मैं तो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में मैं खुद SSB क्लियर नहीं हुआ था. I also took coaching from someone. That person was GTO in one of the centers. So मैंने उनसे कोचिंग ली थी. मैंने भी 1 2 3 मैं चौथे अटेम्प्ट में मैं सिलेक्ट हुआ हूँ खुद. So मैंने तो बताने नहीं चाहिए कुछ भी, बिकॉज मैं खुद चौथे में क्लियर किया हूँ. बट या डेफिनेटली आफ्टर दैट इट इज लाइक SSB जस्ट द प्राइमरी पार्ट ऑफ इट. मेजर करियर इज अहेड ऑफ इट. सो अनदर सजेशन विच आई वुड लाइक टू गिव टू दी एस्पिरेंट्स इज देयर, आज की तारीख में डिसाइड मत करो सडनली कि मेरे को आर्मी में जाना है, या मेरे को CSE करनी है, मेरे को कॉर्पोरेट में जाना है, मेरे को हैव अ प्रॉपर थॉट अबाउट इट. सडनली आप एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम आप कर भी लोगे. इट्स नॉट दैट कि SSB क्रैक करना कुछ बड़ा रॉकेट साइंस है. क्रैक कर भी लोगे, ज्वाइन कर भी लोगे, उसके बाद में क्या? उसके बाद में तो पूरी लाइफ. तो यू शुड हैव दिस थॉट प्रोसेस की इम्पल्सिव डिसीजन मत लो आप, वेल थॉट आउट डिसीजन लेके. स्पॉन्टेनियसली कुछ होता नहीं है. स्पॉन्टेनियसली अगर होती भी है कुछ चीज़ें वर्कआउट, लकीली हो भी जाएगी बाय फ्लूक, आगे जाके यू विल फेस द म्यूजिक. You have to be passionate about armed forces. I can tell about armed forces, you have to be very, very passionate about it, then only you'll be able to do very good inside it.
Talking about the passion, so we were talking about your grandfather of the podcast, and you said कि वो 65 वॉर के 65 वॉर था. 65 वॉर के टाइम पे आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट लाइक वॉर चालू हुआ था, ही वेंट बैक कि मुझे ले लो वापस, आई वांट टू फाइट. वेयर डज दिस पैशन कम फ्रॉम? And I've seen not just मतलब you told me about this incident, but everyone from the Indian Army that I've talked to, they have told me कि अगर होता है war, we'll go back, we'll fight. Where does this passion come from?
इट्स कमिटमेंट बेसिकली ना, आई मीन बहुत बड़ा शब्द है कमिटमेंट. एंड बट वो होता है, मीन्स आई हैव नॉट एक्सपीरियंस दैट थिंग टिल डेट, बट डेफिनेटली इफ गिवन अपॉर्चुनिटी, डेफिनेटली if my services are required, and I'll be definitely more than lucky to rendering them. But during his time, he did not have had anything else to do, means he did not know, means since the age of 16 till the age of 40, 42, 45, whatever he was, till the age of 50, he was serving. और उनको वो अच्छी तरह से आता था. एंड ही न्यू दैट अगर ज़रूरत है 1965 वॉर में, व्हेन इट वाज रिक्वायर्ड, ही गॉट रिटायर्ड इन 1964. बट वो पूरा अपना वो सब कुछ लेके वगैरह पहुंच गए थे वहाँ पे सेंटर में, मराठा रेजिमेंटल सेंटर की में, कि चलो मेरे को भेज दो कहीं पे. जैसे आप रिटायर हो चुके, इट्स ओके. That's how it is. But he was, means people were that passionate, people were that focused and dedicated during that times.
I'm lucky enough. I had a conversation with Ian Cardozo sir at a literary festival. So I and my teammate, we were there, and I was talking to him, and he also told me, and he is like, I don't know his exact age, but he's quite old. And he also said कि अगर मुझे मौका मिलेगा, I'll go back, I'll fight the enemy. So where does this love for the country come from? Because ये मतलब even after leaving the army, that love never goes away. But for a civilian, that love sometimes might take a backseat. I won't say it goes away, but sometimes it might take a backseat. But for someone from the Indian Army, Bharat first, that's your philosophy. How does that happen?
It's a very I would say difficult question to answer, because it has got a lot of aspects to it. Again, rather than generalizing, I'll speak about myself. Uh, what I feel is that these people were very, very dedicated, that they did not hesitate in dealing with the kind of things which were happening to them at that point of time, and they dealt with it. And they came out with flying colors when they performed those things. With me, I have a similar kind of thought process. If asked for, definitely I would go. But now, since I am out of it, I will not try to go back there just because I was feeling good about it. Just because I lived that glory in my past, I will not go back to it.
You won't go for the glory, but if required,
Yeah,
you
if required, if that comes to me, I'll definitely. But voluntarily, I won't go now.
yeah.
Voluntarily, I will not say ki, no, I want to go back, I want to serve again. I wouldn't, because it was my conscious choice to come out. Now I'm out. I will definitely respect what I have done. I will always be proud of it. There is no doubt about it. But I'll not be going back voluntarily. If required, definitely. There is no doubt about it. If required, I will be the first person to go there. There is no doubts about it. But right now, if you ask me, then I wouldn't have come out in first place. If that would have been the thing. I'm out now.
Yeah.
And I totally know there is no point in living in the past glories. I can always be proud of it. I can boast of that thing. I will be sleeping आराम से in the night, because I do not have anything on my conscience. जो मैं कर सकता था, जो मेरे कैपेसिटी में था, जब करना चाहिए था, मैंने किया. I volunteered for getting into armed forces. I served for 10 years. I'm a very proud veteran, and I'm out of it. I will not say ki no, please, I want to go back. No, I came out with choice. I wanted to explore rest of the things in my life, and that's the reason I'm out. If I wouldn't have got that zeal of coming out and doing something else, I wouldn't have come out. Simple as that.
Makes sense. One last thing for this podcast. Any sort of message for the young India, because as we have discussed, like बहुत सारे issues है young India में, but then there's also a lot of passion and there's a hugely bright future of Bharat. So any message for the young Bharatiyas, young Indians, what from you? Like it could be any message, either for the people who are aspiring to go into the army, or just for normal civilians as well.
Firstly, even I am young. I am not that old. Secondly, I'm not that huge a person who have acquired too much in life. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. I'm a normal human being, and I've just served. I was lucky enough to have served for 10 years. I was opportunate enough to be a veteran, and I retired as a major. And very, very less people get to do that. I was opportunate enough and fortunate enough to have done that. And from that perspective, I wouldn't say a message, just a suggestion to the aspirants and people who are comparatively young in age to me, like my little brothers and sisters, younger brothers and sisters. I would say the thing which I have told earlier, you have to understand the importance of doing job, career, having a good career. Think about your career, because my director in Sainik school, he always used to say, good days today, good days tomorrow. Good days today, bad days tomorrow. Bad days today, good days tomorrow. So you have to understand this combination. It is as simple as that. There is no huge philosophy which is involved in it. It's very very simple. You should never be very very hard on to yourself.
Right.
Always understand, जितना ज़्यादा आज की तारीख में स्ट्रगल करोगे ना, उतना आगे जाके आप आराम से रह पाओगे. आज तुम मज़े करोगे, आगे जाके उतना ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल करना पड़ेगा. जो चीज़ हमारे पुरखे बताते आ रहे हैं हमको, जो चीज़ फैक्ट है, जो मैंने खुद एक्सपीरियंस किया है, इसलिए मैं बता रहा हूँ. एंड इन अ सिक्वेंशियल वे. बैड डेज टुडे, आई वॉज स्ट्रगल, मीन्स बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल था. सैनिक स्कूल में अगेन यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी, यू हैव बीन स्ट्रगलिंग. ग्रेजुएशन के वक्त आई वॉज डूइंग जॉब, आई वॉज फेसिंग लॉट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इनसिक्योरिटीज एंड एवरीथिंग, बट स्टिल आई डिड जॉब, आई डिड ग्रेजुएशन, आई गॉट selected. When I got selected, things started picking up well. I served for 10 years. Now I really do not have anything to regret, because that gave me a good platform. Monetarily also, it helped me to build myself up. Physically also, career wise also, it helped me establishing outside. So I worked hard at some point of time. That's the reason I was able to reach here, and I would move ahead. That doesn't my hard work doesn't stop here, but my hard work starts on a different platform now, different pedestal. And again, I was struggling back then roaming in the public transport. Now I'm struggling with in my own car. तो somebody has said that ना, पहले मैं वो ऐसे
साइकिल पे
घूमता था, अब मैं कार में स्ट्रगल करता हूँ, एसी कार में स्ट्रगल करता हूँ. इट इज सिंपल एज दैट. योर स्ट्रगल नेवर स्टॉप्स, यू स्ट्रगल नेवर एंड्स, बट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि तुमको वो स्ट्रगल कितने दिनों तक प्रोलॉन्ग करना है और फिर अगले प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाके स्ट्रगल करना है. सो इट इज लाइक दैट. इट्स अ कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
And I think so people should look up to struggling, क्योंकि वही एक फेज है जो आपको मतलब टफर बनाएगा, and it will give you those good days, those glory days.
Yeah. You should never be complacent. You should never be satisfied with yourself at least. बाकी सब चलता रहता है. You should be satisfied with the amount of achievements you have done, but you should not be satisfied with your continuous struggle. कि इतना struggle कर लिया अब बस है. No. It's always ongoing process.
So thank you so much for doing this episode. 2 episodes. Did you enjoy this? I think so. This was your first podcast.
Yeah. I did enjoy it a lot. Thank you so much.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.